Hello and welcome. This is Cheryl. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today we are on day 3 of the Spellbinders Crafty Advent Calendar for 2024. So if you don't want to see what's in day 3, save this video to watch later. But we are going to open it and then I'm going to do something with whatever's in the window and create a project. If you haven't seen day 1 and 2, they'll be on the same playlist as this one here. And it's a really cute collection of floral and greenery dies. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to do my die cutting off screen and get a bunch of these florals ready to create a card. I always love when there's little floral dies because you can do so much with them. You can add them to other die cuts and you can create some fun arrangements. And arrangements on the front of cards are some of my favorites to do. So I've used a bunch of different Spellbinders cardstocks, assembled a few off screen, but I'm doing some of them on screen as well. There are some stems that go with these die sets and you can choose whether you want to use them or not. The darker pink and the lighter pink flower have centers to them. They're very easy to put together. These blue ones here have 2 pieces for the flower. There's a back side and then a front side as well as the stem. And then these light purple ones here have a stem with a green base to it. And all you do is use a little bit of glue to glue on the floral part of it. For all my gluing, I use Barely Art glue. It's a nice liquid glue. I have it in a fine line bottle and it makes it so that you can assemble cards with it or even assemble the tiniest die cut with it. To add a little bit of texture to my card, I just embossed a white piece of cardstock with the Flourish embossing folder. It's going to add the texture, but it's not going to add any color. So we're not going to detract from our floral die cuts. I'm cutting this down to 4 inches by 5 1/4, and I'm going to create a mat for the embossed piece here, and it's going to be out of pink sand cardstock, and I'm die cutting, or I'm trimming that to 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. So we're only going to see just a tiny little sliver of that pink. It'll tie in with the larger pink florals that I'm going to put in the center of the card. I'm just using a simple white card base for this, and this is an A2 card, so it's the standard size card. And you can see with this Barely Art glue in the fine line bottle, it makes it really easy to glue things together. I often use liquid glues because you can shimmy and move things in place. It gives you a little bit of wiggle room. And then I put an acrylic block on top of there to hold everything nice and flat, especially embossed pieces, while they are drying or while that glue starts to hold. And the nice thing about using that acrylic block is it's clear, so you can start doing your arrangements or arranging your die cuts on top of it just to get an idea if you like what you're thinking in your head. It's always nice to have that confirmation and be able to see it on the background. For these larger pink flowers, I'm just using my fingers to add a little bit of curve to the petals. I'm leaving the centers of them flat, but this is going to give me some wiggle room to tuck some of the other die cuts underneath, but it also gives it some natural dimension or some visual dimension rather than having all of those die cuts flat. You could take some of the other ones and use a stylus and an embossing mat in order to give them a little bit of curvature or whatnot, but I left the rest of them flat. I just did this on those larger flowers. So what I typically will do is do my center of my arrangement, and then I will often tuck in the ones or the pieces that have stems and place those. And then there's usually something, some greenery or some smaller flowers that will fill in some of that white space, and I tuck those in next. Lastly is usually greenery for me, and I like the fact that this particular little die set has a couple different ones to choose from. There's some single leaves as well as a cluster of 3 leaves. I have them die cut out of different colors. The dark green is Fern Cardstock. The lighter green that I'll be using is Peridot Cardstock. My light pink flowers are pink sand. The dark pink flowers are Dahlia. These are all Spellbinders cardstocks. The blue is Raindrop and the light purple is called Purple Mist. These are all die cut out of cardstock scraps. So small die sets like this are perfect for using up cardstock scraps. If by chance I happen to cut too many or die cut too many, I will often put them in small Ziploc bags and just store them with my die set. So then the next time I go to use that die set, I'll have a few pieces already die cut that may work for the project that I'm doing. So I will often use up a bunch of cardstocks, die cut more than I think I'm going to be needing, because I don't want to stop in the middle of my project and have to die cut another leaf or another flower or whatnot. So this is a very, very simple arrangement, and I'm going to finish it off with just a little bit of stickles in the center of the flowers. Now, I really am wishing that there had been a sentiment in some of the pieces that we've opened up with our calendar, but we haven't gotten any sentiments yet. So I'm going to leave this card without a sentiment. I will add one later on if I find one. The other option would be to use the sentiment stamp from day 2 and stamp that in the center. So this is our finished project for day 3. I hope you enjoyed following along, and I will see you tomorrow for day 4.